aboard. Next stop, America's first resort destination. Joining me now is local historian and author Rick Rose, who is here to tell us all about how Palm Beach became America's first resort destination. Thank you so much for being with us, Rick.
You're very welcome.
Okay, go ahead and tell us all about it. The floor is yours.
I will do the best I can. Palm Beach lays claim to the title as being the first resort destination because it was the first purpose-built resort destination. So it all started when this was a wilderness and it was game hunting and there was a small lodge here, not much going on here in the 1880s. But it was because of the vision of Henry Flagler that really, turned this area into a resort destination. The story is very charming as well. So he had already built a hotel in St. Augustine, the Hotel Ponce de Leon, for he and his wife, and they were a little disappointed in the weather in St. Augustine because it gets cold there in the winter months. You get a frost there, it's a little gray. That was the warmest place that you could get to in the United States at that time with the train was Jacksonville, and you made your way to St. Augustine. One of the main reasons why Palm Beach became America's first resort destination is because of an artist, Laura Woodward. She had gone on an adventure trip down here to Palm Beach. At that time it was called the Lake Worth region, and she was doing landscape paintings. She took those paintings back up to St. Augustine with her and was selling them at the Hotel Ponce de Leon, which Henry Flagler had already built in the 1880s. And when Mr. Flagler spotted her artwork, and they were themed Florida landscapes, he asked Mrs. Woodward, "That doesn't look like any Florida landscape around here in St. Augustine. Where is that?" And Mrs. Woodward said, "Well, that's a beautiful paradise down in the Lake Worth region." So paraphrasing, she said more or less, "You should go check that out." And he did that. He did an expedition down the peninsula looking for maybe another destination to open a hotel that was warmer. So when he got on that boat in Juneau and he was making his way down the lagoon, he saw all the coconut palms swooping from the banks of the lake, flowering royal poinciana trees. He realized, he discovered the place where Mrs. Woodward was doing those paintings. And so one of the stops of that boat was approximately here at the location of Whitehall. He got off that boat, and within months he started buying up all the property here, and in 1894 he opened the Royal Poinciana Hotel. And when that opened in 1894, it was the biggest hotel in the world, the biggest wooden structure in the world. And in addition, he built a train system down from Jacksonville, the Florida East Coast Railroad, all the way down from Jacksonville, just to get to that resort. So this area opened as a resort long before it actually became a town or a city. That's what differentiates it.
So when you think about those early times, do you ever, as you were writing and researching, think, did he think what they thought in California when they struck gold? Eureka, I have found the spot. This is it. Because it's warm all the time.
Well, one thing I think we know from Henry Flagler, he was a great visionary. So he was always looking forward. In fact, another reason why I like to say that Palm Beach is America's first resort destination, there were so many other firsts here. To get in a train in New York in January and then go down to Jacksonville, change trains, and get off in Palm Beach in January where we have this weather like today, that was extraordinarily exotic. So it's akin to Mr. Musk opening a hotel on a satellite and providing a rocket to go back and forth. Well, to open that huge hotel in the Florida swamps, the last frontier on the American Eastern Seaboard, was quite a feat. So there's no question that he himself was probably one of the few people that had that vision, and he successfully implemented it. In the modern era, we think of a resort as something that is fully kind of inclusive. It offers lots of different amenities, a golf course, tennis courts, bathing, everything imaginable. And in that sense, that's where Palm Beach stands out among other seaside resort towns, because it was really the first that had a lot of those amenities. The oldest golf course in the state of Florida is the old course of the Breakers Hotel, which was designed during the era of Henry Flagler, I believe in 1896 approximately. It's the oldest golf course in the state of Florida, 20 years before the state of New Jersey even had a golf course. In the 1880s, when they applied for the first post office, they wanted to call this Palm City because of all of the coconut palms here. Many people don't realize they're not indigenous to the local area here. What had happened in 1878, a ship was traveling from Havana to Cadiz, Spain, called the Providencia. And it was a cargo ship, ran aground in a storm on our coral reefs just offshore here. The local pioneers rescued the crew off the ship. And the next day, when the weather was better, they went out to see if there was any way to rescue the ship and repair it so they could continue their trip. And in fact, there was no way to repair the ship. So the crew offered to the locals, if you can get us up to civilization, you can have the cargo. And the cargo was 20,000 coconuts. So that's how Palm Beach has all these coconut palms here. They landed on the Providencia. The locals planted them here as a type of crop. When they applied for the first post office in the 1880s, they got a card back from the US government, Postal Service, denied, because there was already a Palm City post office to the north. So they ended up calling this Palm Beach. Henry Flagler was the co-founder of Standard Oil, and he was a member of that high society, industrial age, Gilded Age group of folks like the Rockefellers and all
the
these
rich folk.
Exactly.
Okay.
The ones who
we
kind
can
of
call them what it is.
Exactly right. Well, but also not just wealthy. He was one of those visionaries who really created companies and did big things. And so when he built this hotel, of course, you can imagine the headlines of newspapers around the country. And I don't know them exactly, but I could imagine that they were approximately eccentric millionaire builds massive resort in the Florida swamps. That's probably what the headline was. But when he built his house here, White Hall, which was completed in 1902, that signified that he was coming down here for not just a hotel visit. He was coming down here to reside during the winter months, and that really is what caught a lot of headlines. And a lot of his colleagues and wealthy folks that he knew from New York and Boston kind of started to follow him down here. Again, during that era, we're talking about 1% of the 1% who could travel down here. Many of these families came down in their own train car. I remember researching for an article, and it was reported that something like 240 Pullmans were parked at the train depot. Because he got the train to come down here and he built this residence, it turned Palm Beach into the most important winter destination by far in the United States, and it made it fashionable. And also there was the whole exotic of being here in the swamps and the wilderness. And they created tourist attractions in addition to the golf course. They did Jungle Trail over on just now Worth Avenue, and tourists could pay 25 cents to be led down a jungle trail to then eventually perhaps watch Alligator Joe wrestle alligators. South Florida's first tourist attraction, Alligator Joe's and Jungle Trail. That's how it all got started. So I think there was a lot of mystique behind the whole, oh wow.
Thank you so much, Rick, and stay tuned for more of America's first resort destination.